Hi, welcome to Jadekind Gaming. My name is Adam, and today I'm going to be unboxing, unwrapping, whatever, taking a look at the Pathfinder flip mat for the Elemental Planes multi-pack. It's actually two different flip mats that are in here, and it's for Elemental Planes, plane of fire, earth, air, and water. And from the little images on the back, they do look like they're going to be mostly useful for battle mat. But these are two 24-inch by 30-inch mats that have 1-inch squares on each side. You can sort of see so that's, each side, so two maps, two sides each, all four planes. And let's get it open and take a look at them. This is by Paizo. Has a little cover around it. And the first one we get. Let's start. By taking a look at each of them sort of as a whole. You get your plane of air, which has, your clouds on the outside. It's sort of like a floating castle, and it's a very basic castle. Of course, you have some towers that you don't see the insides to. That was actually completely separated from the rest of the map. But you end up with holes in the middle of the stone courtyard. So you end up with a bit of a multi-elevation battlefield, with a variety of ways to get between what is ultimately three different elevations. You have four if you count open air, then the base level, then this pathway around here, and then an extra elevation that comes up from here. So I imagine that this here is sort of the landing. Maybe you dock your airship over here and walk underneath here to get into the main area. If you end up needing a small castle-like structure in a elemental plane of air, sure, but for the most part, it seems like a great battlefield for finding a bit of solid ground to fight on in the elemental plane of air, where many of the opponents here wouldn't be bothered by the different elevations or open air, but where the player characters would be limited by that. Let's see, we'll flip this one over. And we'll take a look at this side here. And this is the elemental plane of Earth, which looks like it has a big open pit here. You can kind of see it going down into this open pit. And you end up with columns that go all the way to a ceiling. So there is some sort of ceiling. You're inside of a cave. But over here, you can also see that same sort of level of black, going to ceiling, is you're coming in through this little cavern tunnel into this big open room with the chasm down the middle, the bridge over it, and this pitted ground that is clearly difficult terrain. So, large, a few obstructions with these columns to hide behind, lots of difficult terrain. Again, another great battlefield for an elemental planes sort of situation. Before I zoom in on any of them, I'm going to look at actually all of them zoomed out. And this is one I couldn't quite get a grasp on from the little picture. This is elemental plane of water, and you do get all this beautiful, the colors are beautiful on this. I will say that. You get these bright red corals, and you do end up with shells at point, and obviously this is sand. But it doesn't make sense for the blue to be water, because obviously it's all underwater. I suppose maybe it's a floating barge of sand in open water, or maybe that's a different kind of coral. I'm trying to figure that out, actually. I'm not sure which it's intended as. But for the most part, you end up with, obviously, this is your main bit of land going around here. There is a slight grid that can be seen over the blue. It is very faint, whereas obviously it's very easy to see over this main travelway. But ultimately, as far as where I'd use this, I'd have it open to open water again above, and so creatures that are easily, freely able to swim in the 3-dimension space that is underwater, it's fine. If your creatures are somehow in something where they're walking along this ocean floor, for lack of a better term, in the elemental plane, they'd end up with all of this obstruction blocking between the different areas, where it's sort of a cavern of coral. Then you end up with things on this side where they're completely cut off by this. So I guess you'd swim over. I don't know. Part of me does feel like this is supposed to be more water in there. So almost like this is like a floating rock that coral's grown on, and which has maybe a bit of a rough sand bottom on it. But ultimately, you end up with bits of it that are attached, and that it's like a floating structure within the elemental plane of water. And these are holes where you could swim under, maybe under here and up above on here. It's just sort of what it looks like here. We'll get a closer look after looking at the elemental plane of fire, which is just magma. And again, the grid is actually easier to see on the lava where you do not want to walk than it is to see on the obsidian, I guess? Whatever. Lava rock? Whatever. Where you would want to walk. No, to be fair, you probably wouldn't want to be that close to the lava. But again, the colors are very vibrant, and they have fire textures all around here. But just so you have, again, a very perilous battle mat where you have to stay to certain areas, and areas of the mat are very hazardous. I'll kind of turn this around so you see what that path looks around here. This one doesn't have any clear entry, exit. It just sort of, the way it's laid out, it gives the feeling like it could just expand on for as far as you could see, with this sort of maze of just obsidian rock that you have to be treacherous on, and you could even have it, there's some areas that are broken up like this, where, it's not just stone or not stone, it's stone, fire, and a hazardous terrain that can be walked on, but is still dangerous, or maybe you try and do acrobatics checks to get across or something. All just sort of fueled by the layout on the map. Now, zoom in, get a little more detail on some of these so you can see details of how the map actually is laid out, and you can see the details there between different obsidian and different textures that they use on this map. And some of the areas where they do actually have what looks like, fire is really coming out of these pits here. So this one's pretty simple, but of course just a plane of fire battle mat. Get you a better look at what I'm talking about with this. Yeah, you can kind of see how the grid does continue over the water. Kind of avoid the glare. And you can see sort of the texture of, I do believe this is just water that is here going under it. You can see some of the shells. Coral, the colors on this one aren't coming across as pretty as they show up on the map. It's probably my lighting setup or something, as it's just what I have. But still, you can get an idea of some of the texture on there. Back to this earth one, where you see why I say this one's a chasm, because it goes down, and these ones are solid black, so I say they go up to like a solid roof above. This big open area of difficult terrain, covering most of it, with little paths between it, where if you wanted to try and avoid it, you could, but creatures that are like earth elementals that don't have to be hindered by that difficult terrain have it easy. They can go, they could cut a straight line where you're having to go around to avoid it. Of course, the little cave entrance that comes into it. And then, finally, the close-up on, see these pretty clouds, and the castle here. Just sort of a stone castle structure. And you can kind of see here they have like little flags on the top of the towers. Could be, of course, fluttering in the wind. And, the clouds out in these cutouts, because, of course, in your air elemental fortress, you have cutouts so you could fall through to the outside. So, yeah, that's going to be the air, earth, water, and fire elemental plane maps, which are, unlike some of the flip mats that I get, which I look at and think I have a great story idea. This is more just I'm probably just going to use them more for the battlefield kind of idea, but ultimately they give a good, I've had times where, I do those kind of environments and a battle just becomes theater of the mind, because it's easier than trying to come up with an idea of how do I realize it. These are a good starting spot. Just, trying to come up with how do I lay out what areas are dangerous, what are not, whatever. Just make it where they have to make a check each turn and it functions in theater of the mind. But this would let you actually make it where they can try and work with the environment and they can see it without you having to pre-plan what the area they're in looks like. So I thought it was kind of cool to have some interesting battle mats for elemental planes. But yeah, so elemental planes multi-pack. So double the flip mat fun. I'll link down below where you can find it online, or you can pick it up at your friendly local gaming store. Thank you for watching. If you have any other ideas for cool things you noticed with these mats, cool ways to use them other than just as battle mats for elemental battles, do comment down below. Share your ideas. I always love new ideas for how to use them, how to take advantage of the maps and such that I have. And I'm sure anyone else that sees them would enjoy that as well. So do let me know if you have ideas of your own. Thank you for watching. Have a great day. Bye.